and see you on the next one. Hello, today I'm going to talk about how to apply for an Australian student visa. If you want to get experience in Australia for your education, without a doubt, Australian universities are among the most reputable in the world and experience world class educations. A lot of international students avail scholarships in Australia for their bright career as well as some students studies on self funds. So today's video is about how to apply for a student visa in Australia. In order to obtain your student visa, the applicant can apply to any educational institution in Australia for his or her education and can request for Australian study visa. The applicant should be willing to show that he/she fulfills all the required requirements for obtaining an Australian study visa from the Ministry of Home Affairs. I have divided it into four categories. What are the basic requirements? So the first one is genuine temporary entrant. The second one is monetary requirements. The third one is English language assessment. And the fourth one is character and health requirements. So I'm going to discuss one by one. So the first one, genuine temporary intrat. It is a condition which was implemented in November 2011. It requires a visa applicant to prove a real determination to live in Australia temporarily for the sake of education or to follow a student as a dependent, that is going to be husband, wife or a kid, or as an caretaker. Department of Home Affairs will take different criteria while judging your application. It will also depend on your own country what is the political scenario, because if the visa officer feels that you are not willing to return to your home countries once you're done with your education, they will probably refuse your visa. They will also see what opportunities they can offer you in the Australia, whether you are fit in that criteria or not. And also they will check your previous immigration backgrounds, whether you have been an immigration absconder or not. So these are the basic factors visa officer will decide on your case. After that, they will invite you to an interview at your closest available Australian consulate or an embassy. They will interview whether you fit the GTE eligibility requirement. Now I will discuss how to complete a student visa application form. International students from all over the world need to register for the same visa. It's called the Educational Visa Subclass 500 and it is only accessible electronically. You will need to have a confirmation of enrollment or a letter of acceptance before submitting an application for a visa, hence proving that you have been enrolled into a program listed on the Commonwealth Register of Institution of Courses. The COE will generate a specific digital number that you must input in the relevant part of the online Australian visa application form. You may also be required to pay your university fees before applying for a visa. So basically, it's a reference number. It will only issue once you are accepted by Australian university or a college, which should be registered with the Commonwealth Institution of Courses. That number you need to put it into educational visa subclass 500 while you are filling the form. You can swap courses later to enroll in Australia at a equivalent or a better degree. But if you are transferring to a lower level on the Australian qualification framework or a non AQF category program, except switching from a doctorate to a master's, you will require to submit an application for a visa again. On your study permit, you can also arrange your education by taking two or more programs with a logical movement from one to the next. So now I will move on to the student visa requirements. According to the student visa guidelines, you will need to present documentation when filling out your digital visa application form. You will need a financial document, English proficiency, language test requirement, and a health certificate. In the financial document, you have to prove that you have enough money to pay university fees, transportation, and day to day expenses. The sum you must demonstrate you possess for living expenditure excluding tuition and travel. It has to be at 20,290 Australian dollars for a year as of today. You need to check on the website while you're applying because these figures vary every year to year. If you have dependents such as husband and kids, you must also demonstrate that you can afford their housing expense including educational expenses. For the English proficiency test, you need to acquire IELTS, TOEFL, IBT, or Pearson. It is only for the non-native English speaking person. For the IELTS, you need to take the academic version. If you are pursuing a full degree or taking a training program, you need to take this course. When you apply for the university or a college, they will probably require this test before they approve you with admission. For the health requirements, some individuals may be required to attend a medical or a radiographic examination. It is basically a TB test. It's not for every country. And there is also a new health charge which is introduced recently. So all new students, with the exception from Belgium or Norway, rest are required to acquire overseas student health coverage. It is basically a health insurance which will cover while you are studying in Australia. Anything health wise happen, your health insurance will take care of it. You can get this insurance with your institution or from five healthcare practitioners, which are Australian Health Management, BUP Australia, Medibank Private, Alliance Global Assistant, and NIB. The prices of these health insurance varies upon operator and the length of time you obtain for this coverage. In the character certificate, you need to have an excellent moral character. This will involve a criminal background check to ensure that you have no significant criminal history. You may also require to obtain a criminal security clearance as well as a character statutory declaration form. Criminal security clearance can be obtained from your local police station. You have to check with your local law enforcement agency. So now what documents are required to apply for an Australian student visa? So first of all, you need to have an Australian student visa application form which is 157A for study in Australia. You need to pay the application fee which is approximately 420 US dollar at the moment. A scanned photocopy of your passport. Some international students may be asked to provide an actual passport should be sent to the Australian embassy. Then an admission letter from an Australian university or the confirmation enrollment letter. Then your financial statement which is equal to your proof of sufficient funds available to you once you arrive in Australia. Then you will need to have a proof of health certificate which is your tuberculosis x-ray test. Also, you need to have a medical insurance. You need to have an English proficiency language test. It can be IELTS. Then you need to attach a criminal background check document, which can be your character certificate. You will also need to have four passport size photographs. You will need to make a profile and submit it with a digital IMI account application system. In most cases, Australian study visa procedure takes up to 4 weeks. If you want to pursue a new visa at the end of your program or a degree in specific conditions, you need to consult Home Affairs. Once you get your Australian study visa, you can enter up to 3 months before the initiation or a start of your program. You must notify your educational department, which is university, when you are going to enroll and your residential information within the 7 days of your admission. You can work up to 40 hours per week throughout semester time and full time during the vacation while you are on study visa. Although you are immediately granted work authorization, you are not permitted to do so until your program has begun, and you should not depend on a job to sustain yourself or your family while in Australia. There are no job limits if you are pursuing a master's degree by research or a PhD. Please remember that any action that is mandatory as a component of your program is not counted toward your restriction. If the employment is truly volunteer for an NGO and the advantage of the community, it is not counted toward the 40 hour. You should remain relatively involved in CRICOS registered program, take lectures in a regular manner, make sufficient course progression, and maintain OSHC healthcare coverage while in recipient of a student visa. You and your dependents must also adhere to specific visa requirements. Failing to do so may your visa being revoked. So that's it for today's video. I hope you like it. If you do, please give me a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and follow us on our social media for latest opportunities around the world. Thank you very much for watching and see you on the next one.